Welcome to the Soul Success Summit, where we share guidance on how to succeed on the goal line and the soul line. My name is Katja Rusanen, and I'm your host. I love helping coaches and healers shine their light, share their gifts, and succeed on purpose. I'm here with my dear friend, Louise Lavergne, who is a life journey alchemist. Over the past 35 years, she has empowered thousands of people to reclaim balance in their bodies and lives within the reality of our crazy busy world. She has been referred as a modern day mystic because of her grounded spiritual holistic approach that combines scientific and mystical elements to empower you to achieve and thrive and flourish in alignment with your soul's purpose. With her Spark portal, she's created an online oasis where you can effortlessly reset your whole being to calm. Each class and segment are designed to calibrate and revitalize your body, heart, mind, and spirit so that you can show up authentically in all areas of your life. Louise's system, the Destiny Blueprint, offers you an illuminated path to live your purpose and experience the joy of being who you were born to be. And that sounds so amazing. So let's find out more. Welcome to the Soul Success Summit, Louise.
Thank you, Katja. It's such a joy to be with you here today.
I'm super excited that you are here to share your wisdom. But before we dive into the teaching portion here, can you share a little bit how you discovered your own path?
Sure. It's a long path, and just really the nuggets here. I started very young on my path when I had a near death experience at around the age of 10. And I received sort of my life mission, which I didn't really understand back then, but it started a quest, a lifelong quest to reclaim peace within our earth life. Because when I went up there and experienced, I did not want to be here, but that this is where we come to really master our ability for that. And of course, many twists and turns. Um, Became an actor, became, a business person, and all these things that occurred to get me to a place where I finally was at a place where I was moving into doing my soul purpose work and not having this sort of duality of doing a job and then doing my spiritual work on the side, just really the integration. But I couldn't have gotten there if I hadn't had these life experiences. So, our soul path isn't a destination, it's a journey, so it keeps evolving. But what became really clear to me when I was in the business world was that one of the really big challenges was to be able to be present with our reality. And stress was, of course, the number one thing. That's where I started with stress management, helping people to reclaim it in their bodies so that they could have a life that they could navigate, that they could enjoy. And then that went a little deeper, because when we start to bring our spiritual work as a business, it's interesting what comes up, because the survival mechanism, our as much as we can be in our spiritual reality, we're in a human body, and there's a real strong survival instincts that we are here to blend with our spiritual knowing. But I struggled. I struggled to use my intuitive gifts. It was really hard for me to trust. And here's the big block that I think we all experience: doubt. Doubt comes in. Is this, can I really do this? And because the work that we do, when you're really internally driven to the work, the external can feel totally, against us. So to get into a place of acceptance where we not just accept who we are and what is, but really how we relate to the external. So what really made a huge difference was when I started to understand this soul design, understanding rhythm. Rhythm was sort of where I started, like the rhythm of how we navigate our day. And then the timing. Once I discovered that there was the architecture of my soul design had a timing map, a destiny blueprint, and that I could make my path honor what was happening with me, really understand myself, get to know myself in a way that I didn't try to just replicate what other people did or do practices that were just where I always felt like a failure. And that was just, I was losing my energy, I was losing my momentum,
Mm.
and started to create this system um, that I taught with a lot of business people, people that were out there, and then got into doing more of the spiritual work where I opened a wellness center and started to work with sound. I'm a intellectual spiritual. You can relate. When we're very, when you have an intellectual, I want to understand why and why are these sounds, and why this and why that. And I got really deep into studying down to the roots of where all the metaphysical studies came from, went deep into learning theology, but also learning universal Kabbalah, learning yoga, Qigong, all the different ways that the body could reclaim peace and that we could reclaim that information and create a way to navigate that honors what works for me. And
Mm.
so being able to have all these tools, designing what works for the other, and the core of those elements that makes a big difference to overcome doubt, to overcome fear, to overcome this trigger of the survival to kick in, to really be in our place of alignment. It requires the integration of the spiritual and the physical so that we can navigate from our line of well-being. It's that sort of home base where we can access our intuition, but totally be conscious of what's happening in our reality. And then we bring that into our heart. And I really believe that that's the power of what we talk about, the fifth dimension. We need to embrace the reality completely within what's happening, and then bring in the awareness of our spirituality, and then just bring that into our heart. So those
Mm.
it's become simpler as I get older. The whole thing works becomes really simple, but knowing what our strengths and what, not just so much the challenge, but what are we here to heal? It's not against you. It's like, oh, this is something that I get to bring healing into. So we have a different relationship. The acceptance fuels our energy in a way that allows us to make the choices that we need to make, you
Yeah.
know? And the life force battery is sort of what I talk. And I just have to, this is really, the book that I'm writing right now is called The Missing Piece. And as I'm putting and channeling this book and the word peace, I finally understood what that message was. Peace, the elements of our life force, the physical, the emotional, the awareness, the mind, the conscious, the spiritual, and the energy and the soul piece of it is really how we can really move into our success of what we're here to express.
That's beautiful. And thank you for sharing about your upcoming book that you're writing. We are
Yeah.
looking forward to read it once it's out. And one of the things, though, I'd like to tap into more. You mentioned there are the doubt that is one of the biggest blogs, and I can relate to that. But then also, in your opinion, why do so many coaches and healers are struggling now to succeed with their business?
Yeah.
Because they do have that deep calling, they do have the feeling of purpose, they want to do something meaningful, but then they kind of get stuck.
Yeah.
So
I was just having a conversation with with a colleague about that. Why are so many of our clients who are in the spiritual business struggling? Because we're so aligned, and this is the doubt piece that came in. So we must allow the knowing to move through us. And the knowing cannot come through when doubt gets in the way. It blocks the energy. And when we get too caught up with our spiritual realm, so I talk about that like the upper triangle, when we get too into the spiritual and we're disconnected from the physical, we can't manifest.
mm,
So the grounding and the acceptance of the reality of what's happening, we are feeling the disappointment of things not happening. And that disappointment moves us into, it's almost like we go into this little room. Well, as long as I've got my needs met, I'm fine. So we get really comfortable into that small space. And we forget that we have all this other stuff that we have available to us. We become disconnected from the knowing. And this is what I really try to create. Partly why I work with sound, is to have the experience of our totality, of all the gifts that we are. If we're excluding the ego is a big part of the success story. And sometimes we have a duality. We feel like the intuition and the intellect and the ego and the spirit are kind of against each other. But when we can embrace and accept the parts that are our protector, the parts that move us into those darker places within ourselves, the part of ourselves that we feel ashamed of, when we can bring that into light and accept all that we are here to do. We're not here to not measure our success on the external measures of other people. I'll tell you a story. I had a client who was doing beautiful work. I mean, really beautiful work. And the money wasn't coming in, and we were working on that. And then it became really clear that they were going through a life story where making a little bit more money would have put them in a very stressful place, dealt with what they needed to do. The universe was taking care, once we really made peace with it, was taking care of all the needs. And money kept coming in from donations, from this, from that. So the needs were always being met. But once that stopped being a source of disappointment and failure, once it became accepted that I am trusting, the divine unconditional trust is, I think, in all of us, a little wounded. And we need to heal. We talk a lot about unconditional love, but it's really important to also go into unconditional trust. And once we align that things are, and we do the work, you got to take the actions, but the actions have to come after we make the connection to the being, to the integration of ourselves. And that's why I talk about that line of well-being. When you're navigating from that, you're not depending on the wins to feel successful. You're not depending on the loss to feel like you can't. You really can maintain your knowing. Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
What do you think?
Yeah, I feel that it is again finding that place within, because I believe the success starts within, everything starts
Absolutely.
within, and working through. But there is the key word that came for me from your share was that trust.
Yeah.
Like learning to trust, and taking action was the other one you mentioned. Like, yeah, part of it is
Yeah, and
to.
I think we hold a lot of shame for doubting.
Mhm.
We're not like, I'm gonna be more positive. I'm gonna be more positive. But then the doubt is there, and until we can heal that, bring that, and really move that out of the energy, then we're not fighting against it all the time. We're always fighting the negative thoughts until we can. It's not about getting rid of them, but recognizing what's the message. What is it that I'm learning, that I'm healing here? And we're all overcoming. I really believe that all of us doing this work are overcoming this ancestral story of not having been valued or not having been allowed to share money. I had that happening to me. It was pretty funny. I'm helping a lot of people, and often the people that need the most help don't have the money, and we just always get stuck in that circle. So I was invited to be on the ship called the World, which is a really unusual living environment. It's the people who live there, the richest people in the world, have condos on this beautiful boat. The ratio is 250 passengers to 500 crew. So it's a very primo. And I was a speaker there. And I get there and they say, oh, by the way, you're not allowed to make an offer and charge any money to our customers. And I thought, this is just, I'm with the wealthiest people and I can't charge money. Where am I holding these blocks? So I had a big chuckle about that, but we need to create that abundance mentality, within all the people. We tend to feed the lack. So I think we're really overcoming things that, even though they're maybe not connected to your story, it's the ancestral lineage. We are becoming empowered to value the work that we do, and to know that it's not just this frivolous, you know, the word woo woo is so, it really does bring it down to something that doesn't have substance, because energy is very tangible. And I love, for me, having been able to bring the science into it, because the timing that I talk about, the soul timing, the universal Kabbalah, it's a science because it's measurable, it's repeatable. There is science to all this. And I think the more we anchor and move into the healing opportunity as we meet the challenge, I think we're really moving into transcending it, all of us helping
Yeah.
each other do that.
And you will be helping here people to do
Yes.
that, how they can move forward. So can you share what you're gonna talk specifically about today?
Yes. Yes. Let me share a few things here. We're going to start. I'm going to share screen, and then I can give you some visuals of what I've been talking about. Okay. And see, you got it? Yeah?
Yes, coming now.
Okay.
Yes.
So we're talking about creating your success by design, really understanding your soul design, and talking specifically today about timing and rhythm. Rhythm is really a key, and we don't think about rhythm. We think about trying to do as much as we can do, try to be as much as we can be. But if we can establish a rhythm, then we have flow, balancing our being and our doing. And that's what I wrote my latest book, The Do Rescue Remedy, where I talk about when we just do and do and do and do, we end up in do. But when we go into a spiritual business, you know, we know that being is important, but we spend a lot of time being, and then we spend a lot of time doing, and we get out of balance. We don't have that rhythm. So one of the things that's helped a lot of people get back into their line of well-being. See, that's your line of well-being. Sometimes when life gets turbulent, you need to go to the calm waters and reset yourself. If you can do that throughout your day, then you can enjoy the moments when you go out to sea with your boogie board the morning, and then you can ride the waves. And then when you hit a bump, you go back to your line of well-being. It's just a really important thing. So I'm going to share something with you guys today that is it's been one of the most powerful things for me to incorporate. We're learning to be what we're talking about, you know, to really get into our success, our place of alignment, of healing the doubts, integrating our energy, is where we can be right there in the middle, where we have our reality happening and our intuition, our dreams, our spiritual nature is there, and we are right in the middle where they're both contributing to what we do. And I know a lot of you are really, really skilled at this, but we all lose our way when we get really busy. I was talking with a client just a few days ago who was saying how they've been doing this work for a long time, and I just still get stuck in the resistance. And I think that resistance is a little bit like the diamond, you know, the pressure that helps us shine brighter. Every time we meet it, we get to shed some layers here. So this is the idea of being able to go, like when you feel yourself totally focused on your goals, like you said, your line goals and your soul goals, and you can align yourself. I want to share something that can help bring us into that alignment here. Ultimately, what we're doing is we're trying to nurture not just our spiritual energy, not just our physical, not just our mindset, not just the heart. It's the integration of all that creates that sense of peace that I talked about. So when we have doubt in the background, when we have things that are draining us in the background, whether we have physical pain, we're not functioning with the 5 bars in our life force battery. But when you take the time to reset all these pieces, then you can really make good choices. And I think that's what it comes down to, is the choices that we make, right? So I want to show you something here. I'm going to stop share. I'm going to show you something that has been so impactful to me, and it's probably the most useful thing. I like to give very tangible, accessible, doesn't matter how I feel, I'll be able to do this, because some things sometimes are so complicated, or so, when we're dealing with the stress or the crisis, we it's a little bit harder to think of all those components. So this is something that I call the mind shower, and it's really a mind and heart and body alignment. Our hands have connection to every part of our body. In acupuncture, they talk about all the meridians. These are, if you think about your hands, sort of like the channels of energy. So rubbing your hands is a great way to de-stress. I recommend that you have hand lotion where you work, and you schedule time to just take a break and rub your hands. And then the other part is rub your knees. Rubbing your knees. So metaphysically, your knees represents your ability to move forward. Your hands are connected to your heart. So you want to open your heart. And then when you smile and breathe, you're engaging your body to reset to that. So that's a really quick one. But I'm going to give you something a little bit more involved, if you don't mind. Something that I call the mind showers. So your middle finger is the energy of our discipline. Discipline has to be part of our spiritual work as well, right? So it's about self-love, showing up, making the effort. So we're going to connect our middle finger, and we're going to curl the other fingers inside. So put your fingers inside, and then your thumbs. Your thumbs represent your ability to take action. So your thumbs, when you feel stressed, your thumbs are a really good finger to work with. But now see what we're doing here. We're creating our boogie board here. We've got our line of well-being, and we're going to put that right there in the center. So we're creating the map in our body to the intention of reconnecting to our line of well-being. And I want you to just like feel the breath. We're going to take 4 sniff in. So fill the belly, fill the heart, fill the mind, and then 1 more to fill the whole body. Hold it, and then just release it. So that's a letting go breath. We're going to take a moment just to close our eyes and just visualize a sun rising. Beautiful sun rising just for you. This is your own personal healing sunlight that we're calling in now. And just whatever that feeling of being in that healing light, healing sunlight, relax your shoulders. And we're going to take 4 breaths in again. Inhale, 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 inhale. Now hold it, press the tip of your tongue at the roof of the mouth and hold it there. And then with the chew sound, go, chew. I release all that's not serving me now. So you're giving yourself permission now to let go of anything that's going on, and just bringing your body, remembering and aligning with all that is possible within you, with all that you are, all that you have been, and all that you are here to be, coming into perfect harmony now, creating a place of harmony. Just breathe now through your nose and breathe out through your mouth. Just taking some gentle breaths, resetting yourself into a place of harmony between sky and earth, and claiming your place here in the center. Filling your mind with light, filling your heart with love and kindness, doing this for you now. And just take 1 more breath and hold it. And this time you're going to release it with a ah, and just let it go. And that's it. Now massage your hands again. Good. So it doesn't take long. This is like 1 to 3 minutes. This particular hand gesture resets the intention. Actions that echo our intentions are so powerful, so that we're not just thinking it, we're actually physically engaging with it. How did that feel?
That was wonderful. That just a little reset, and I can see
Yes.
benefits.
I call them bee breaks.
Yes. And then you shared with me that you can
Timing.
Talk about the timing part,
Timing.
which is
Okay.
really
This is the exciting piece. This is really, really exciting because I think that had the biggest impact, especially for us intuitive, to know divine timing is really interesting. And actually, I'm sure a lot of you can relate. I know you and I, Katja, have talked about this. It's so much easier to have the clarity for other people than for ourselves. You know, we can really be very intuitive, and sometimes when it comes to us, it's a little more difficult. When you understand that there's a beautiful architecture in our world here, um, ancient times, before Greek time even, they they observed that we are influenced by the 7 creative planets, and these 7 creative planets impact 7 days of the week. How do we have 7 days of the week? I love the parallel between our skeleton, our body structure, and the tree of life. 7 days of the week. How many holes in our head?
Mm.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And there's actually a correlation when you get deep into that to the different parts of our face relates to different energy. I mean, it's pretty amazing. The days of the weeks, the energies are, it's in our hands, it's in our bodies. But really getting very practical here, understanding the days of the week. Each of the days of the week have an energy. When you understand that, it's easier to understand your clients, it's easier to understand yourself, and you can make choices on timing. So Sunday, I've got a slide that I can show you. Let me share screen again. Just 1 second here. The timing of the days of the week applies, there's a general sense. Okay, here we go. Here we go. So there are the planets. They're all lined up there and they have an influence on us. Monday is a day that, well, let's start with the Sunday. We'll work our way, or Sunday, Monday. These have them in the wrong order, but it's okay. Sunday, we'll start with Sunday because that's the day when the week starts. I want to move here 1 second. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
So Sunday is the day that is about putting our intentions out there into the world. So Sunday is such a powerful day to review and make plan for the week ahead and really feel into what the intentions are that you want to put out for that week. And then you move into Monday. Monday is a moon day. That's when you take the time to feel into the different things that you have lined up, what feels more aligned and not aligned. It's a great day for intuition. It's not a day where you want to have to make big decisions. Moon days are not the best days for decisions. And then we move to Tuesday, which is Mars, mardi in French, Mars energy. That's when you're going to have the energy to tackle the big rocks. And if you don't tackle the big rocks early on, we all know that the little rocks are a lot more fun to play with, but the big rocks end up overwhelming us. So that's a good day to take on your big rocks. And then you move to Wednesday, which is Mercury day. That's a day where the communication, you want to pay attention to your communication. Tuesday, you also want to be careful about your temper. Mars relates to temper. Mercury, good time for conversation. Thursday is Jupiter, that's expansion. It's also known as lucky. And then there's Friday, which is Venus, which is, I mean, Friday night, TGIF, right? It's a day to celebrate. And it's so important to celebrate the end of your week. It's so important to take time to celebrate. And Saturday is a day to recoup and rejuvenate and take that time to restore. And when you kind of have that flow, you understand that's the general when you're scheduling certain things to know which day to pick. But it gets more personal than that. It gets really, really down to the wire. There are many layers to this because the day that you're born begins to impact your personal week. And now that fits in with the overall week. That's where it gets really, really interesting. So what I would like to invite the VIP clients to join me, where I will actually give you your personal 3 most important days of the week for you and your business to build your success by design, to make some, and there's different ways to work with the energy. So I'll go a little deeper with how you can enhance the benefits of the energy of each day. And depending on where your days of the week fall, I know it gets really complicated. This is something that I take a lot of time with people to go through, because then it also moves into your year and your business and you. So there's a lot of layers, but I want to bring it to the 3 key days for those who really want to play with the idea of timing. I want to extend that invitation to them. But to start, for everybody here today, start to pay attention on how you feel on the different days of the week, and really honoring your energy for you, what feels right for you. And I know, Katja, you and I talk about timing all the time. It makes a difference, doesn't it, when you kind of put the timing of what you do aligned with that. For me, I'm a doer. I'm a get it done. I'm a workhorse, and I had to learn it's not about working harder, but I got to do it now because everybody's saying I got to do it now. I got to launch. I got to get it done. And going out to sea with my sailboat, my offer is my sailboat, and there's no wind, so I'm going to huff and puff to create the wind. I can be the wind. But once I understood what timing is aligned with me, when the wind is out for me, for my own timing, and I go to sea when the wind is out there, I've got the universe supporting me, and it became so much easier, and it helped me cure procrastination.
Yeah.
Because doubt, we're never ready. It's never the right time, so we're just never quite sure. This is the time for me to be writing. I'm focusing on writing. This is the time for me to be doing this. I'm focusing on, and integrating that made such a difference. So I'm excited to share a little bit of that with people and get into taking charge of your success. And the rhythm and timing, and the rhythm particularly, it's about becoming conscious, empowered owners of our life and our business, so that we can navigate at what I call a productive pace of grace, that really is productive, but it's really honoring and kind to who we are, by nature and our soul.
That's so beautiful. Thank you, Louise, for sharing that. And now, as we are starting to wrap up here today, I want to just check in. Do you have a special final message that you would like to share with the audience?
Yes. What you are willing to believe, what you're willing to accept, and who you are here to be. I want to see you in this beautiful bridge now and bring you in harmony with that. I see you in harmony with all the gifts of your being, allowing that stillness to clear the doubt, so that the clarity and the power of who you are, the power of your peace, the power of your love and your compassion, the power of your expression of your gift flourishes and serves the higher good of all. I honor the higher good of my soul and my body and heart and mind, and my part within the higher good of all, and all those that I'm here to serve. So I want to give you one little blessing of sound as we send off with that intention. If that feels like something you want to bring in, just take a few breaths, opening into the knowing. And when you feel it, say yes. I hear you and I see you, and I send blessings, and I hold that intention for you. And thank you. I just really feel so much gratitude for everyone that's doing this beautiful work and looking to do the beautiful work and expanding into doing it. And Katja, you are such a beautiful light in our world. I'm so grateful for all the beautiful things that you're putting out there, and you're brilliance. Your mind is so brilliant, and your heart and your soul is so inspiring. So I just want to really acknowledge you and thank you.
Thank you. I take that, I received with that gratitude. And I thank you, Louise, for being here today, for sharing and giving us your time and wisdom. And also thank you for all the work that you do in the world. And thank you for watching the Soul Success Summit. I'm sending you
Thank you.
loads of light, loads of love. Stay well and stay tuned for the next interview. Bye for
I
now.
can't wait. Bye.